viewers as well. My name is Kathy Fromme, and today this is a mySewnet software Facebook YouTube Live. So we're going to continue on with the topic I started last month, April, with cross stitch. And last time we learned some basics about the cross stitch software in the mySewnet software. And today we're going to expand a little bit on that, but I will give you a little tiny bit of a refresher just to get you back in the groove of cross stitch. So I want to thank Amy working in our background today. She's running our controls, and she's going to let me know if for some reason you can't hear me or see what I'm doing on screen. She will also monitor questions. So please go ahead and in the chat, we'd love to engage with our viewers. Let us know where you're from. Have you used cross stitch before? Is it something that's brand new to you? Whatever you'd like to share, we're happy to hear it. And give us any questions you might have about the program or software or things I am sharing today. So I think, Amy, we're ready to switch over to the software screen and we'll get started. So great. So this is just a little background I created, and later on in today's program, I am going to show you exactly how to create a background of your own. But I wanted to head over into our software. So here we are at our main software screen. You can see I've had several files open, open projects over here. These are recently used projects of what I've been working on. And from here, I can go to any component of my software. Now, I am working in the Platinum version of mySewnet. Cross Stitcher is found in the Platinum level, and you can get the Platinum level either through a monthly subscription or that special 12-month subscription. You pay for 10 months, but you get 12 months, so a little bit of a discount there when you commit to a 1-year subscription. Or if you have our perpetual version of mySewnet software, you'll find Cross Stitcher in that Platinum level as well. Now, Cross Stitcher goes back a number of versions, so there will be many things you can do in the older versions of the Cross Stitcher. There's been a few enhancements along the way, but for the most part, Cross Stitcher, it's pretty stable as far as our program goes. We've had some enhancements over the last 2 upgrades to the software. Other than that, if you happen to have that older version, that's fine. You can use that too. So I'm going to slide down here under New Project and click on Cross Stitch. And it's going to say, do I want to save changes? I'm going to just say no. And just wait, just be patient for a moment while my software checks out my computer and says, okay, we're now in our cross stitch program. So first off, this is the pop-up window. We did talk about this pop-up window last time, and these are different choices that we can work from. We can either create a quick cross design. We can load a picture for a new cross stitch design. We can load an existing cross stitch design. Now, an existing cross stitch design would be one that already have some crosses to it, and we want to pick up and work on it again. So if you started a project yesterday and you weren't able to finish it, you'd come back at another time and you would do the load existing cross stitch design to bring up that work in progress. Okay, or you can start a new cross stitch design with no picture. So those are our 4 choices. Of course, we can just click cancel, and that will also just close this window and give us a blank screen to work from. Okay, all right, so let me just check here. It looks, I saw a pop-up happen. A question about last time. All right, where did we get the small animal photos you used last time? Cannot find them in mySewnet. So I'm smiling because Amy and I were just double checking my sample files, and I ran real quickly over and re-downloaded them. And then, of course, they were there all along. So I will take you there in a moment and show you where to find the sample files. And that is where I got those really cute small animals that I used last time. So for now, I'm just going to do a start new and click next. And here is where I can determine my size. Again, this is just a little refresher here. We, at this screen, where it's a wizard screen, you can tell from the title bar here, we are answering questions or putting input into the different areas to determine what we want the computer to create for us. Okay, so cross stitch size 3.0 is one of the options. We can go as small as 1 millimeter and up to 30 millimeters in a cross stitch size, although I cannot really imagine a 30 millimeter cross stitch itself, because it would get caught on everything. That's very, very long. It's over an inch long. So that would be a little large in my personal opinion. We can also select the hoop size, or we can determine how many crosses that we want in our workspace. So if you have a fixed number of crosses that you want, you can determine that. And you can have it be proportional by checking the box, or non-proportional if you uncheck that. I'm going to do a select hoop because I'm just going to work on some basics with you first. So in our hoop group, remember that our mySewnet software can be used by any of our brands and any other brand sewing machine out there, any embroidery machine, I should clarify. You will need an embroidery machine to stitch out embroidery files, but it doesn't matter what brand you have, you can use our mySewnet software for your machine. So with that, you can go ahead and select your brand and your type and all of that, and get your hoops that are designed to work with your machine. I'm going to choose universal today since we're all one big happy family, and I have my universal category selected. Within universal, there are some common hoop sizes. Now, of course, if you can't find a particular hoop size, we have that ability to make your own hoop size. Just know that you have to have a hoop large enough to stitch that out in the end, or you will need to split your design, which is a whole nother class. So, all right, I'm going to just go ahead and choose, I'm going to choose just a square hoop. How about a 260 millimeter square hoop? And go ahead and click on OK. And then that does change for me how many crosses I can get using a 3 millimeter cross. I can get 86 in each direction. I did choose a square hoop. And down at the bottom, this would be the stitch out size, 258 millimeters by 258 millimeters. I'm going to click finish, and this is just going to give us a workspace to work in. All right. And I see a couple other questions, and I will come back to those. So just checking, I'll come back in on that next question, Amy, as well. So first off, I want to just remind you that you can work in a number of different views of your canvas space here. The view I have on now is our 3D view, and it just looks like the traditional cross-stitch cloth. Let me do a zoom, however, because I'm not sure you can really see those details. See, it just looks like the counted cross-stitch fabric that if you were a hand cross-stitcher, that you might have used. You can also change that grid to be every five counts is a grid line every 10, or every grid, which that's a little busy for my eyes. Or if you don't want a grid, you can take out the grid altogether, and then it looks just like a piece of traditional cross-stitch fabric. And if you don't want that realistic view, you can go to a 2D view or a block view as well. So it's up to you as to what kind of view you would like to have. All right, I'm taking you back just to a traditional 3D view here, and let's go over to the Create tab. Again, just a real quick refresher, the Create tab is where all your tools are, okay? So that's where you find your cross stitches, your quarter cross stitches, your half cross stitches, and your mini cross stitches, along with your back stitching choices. They're right here in the middle. and French knots, and then the cross flood fill and a pattern flood fill, and some other tools here with shapes and things. So if you're creating from scratch or manually creating something, you want to be on the Create tab to go ahead and input your crosses. And so I think this would be a really good time to answer the question about how to fill in the background stitches. Put some designs in the hoop, but not sure how to fill in the background. Okay, so I'm going to simplify this for demonstration purposes. I'm going to pick a shape here. Let's scroll down a little bit and find something interesting. How about a star? And then I'm going to just draw a shape, and I can stretch it out a little bit here. All right, and there's my shape. I did that without even telling you what I did. My fault. My mouse was a little quick on me, so we're going to do an undo. Let's try that again. Let's come back, and I think I want to pick a shape that has more straight lines. So we're going to do this sort of rounded off square, make it an arbitrary size. Now here, if I want to fill this shape with crosses, then I can simply click on my fill pattern here, cross fill, and my color is blue. Maybe I don't want blue. I can add a color. Once this pops up for your color selection, you have all the same color choices you have in all the other parts of our software. So you can utilize the quick colors, or if you know the thread number, you can use the find thread number and type in the thread code. I do have Robus and Anton selected, but these are just the ones I keep handy at the front of my space. I could also look for other thread databases that are in the system. Let's pick this pretty pink today. Oh, wait, I like this pink better. It's a little brighter. Click on OK. And there we go. And then I'm going to touch in the fill, and it will, when I click on that and click on my mouse, it will fill with crosses. Well, I lost my line there somehow, Amy. Well, this is not a good start. Let's do an undo. All right, let's try that again. Draw a shape. Place shape. There we go. And now we have a shape. I'm going to just right click, and then it filled it. There you go. So now you see I have this shape that I can fill. I'll also show you how to fill an irregular area, not just a square, rectangle, or whatever. I'll show you how to do that as well. So let me just do a quick delete here. And I'm just going to make a note to show that fill in a moment. And I want to make sure to cover our lettering today, because I told you we would work on a few advanced things. So I want to spend a few minutes on that, and then I'll come back in and show you the fill when I have another example up that's more appropriate to show you that, okay? So stand by. So I tapped on the letter tab here, and we have two choices. We have our fixed fonts, and we have true type fonts. So in cross stitch, you do have some fonts that they have already digitized for you in a cross stitch style. So they are divided into categories, much like the fonts are in the regular embroidery screen. There just aren't as many of them in cross stitch. So, but we have some of everything. We have some retro and some script and some traditional. I really like these floral monograms right here. So I'm going to pick this. It's called Bettina Cross. It has a UC after it, and then 15. What all that means is UC stands for uppercase. You notice the sample just has uppercase, no lowercase letters. And then 15 is the height in crosses that this font will be. So this font is a fixed size. It's a fixed font, and it is 15 crosses tall as far as the letter A. Everything is based off the letter A. if we were to look at this Old English font, you see that we have upper and lowercase available for that font. So there are some differences. And then I'll show you this font as well. The Elegance cross-stitch font is got a 3C in front of the UC. All these little codes here. 3C simply means it's comprised of 3 different colors. Okay, so it's a little bit different of a font. We're going to stick with our more basic font. This one's a little easier to work size-wise for our demo today. I'm going to type the word mom. Mother's Day is coming soon, so I just typed the word mom. I did not bother to type in uppercase. I'm going to click apply. It'll still work because that is how our fonts work in all parts of our software. If it is an uppercase only font, it will just type uppercase, even if you type lowercase. So you don't have to worry about that. I love that feature on there. Now you notice that it put the design in the corner of our workspace, and there is a little faint box around it. When that box is still there, I can left click and drag that and position it where I want it on my canvas. Okay, so I'm just going to plop that there. And then I just clicked and that set my word mom in place. Now, how about if I wanted 2 lines? Let's see, we could do mom is best. Maybe if I could type, we could do that. And I'm going to click apply. And so here is my mom is best. I'm just going to move them off to the side right now, even though it's off of our canvas, so you can see. Much like in regular lettering, we have alignment tools. It was set on left justify. I want it on center instead, or I could do right. So we have options. So I'm just going to delete that off of there. I'm also going to select this mom and delete that mom off screen because I just want one mom is best. Do center and then click apply. It will still load in the corner of the screen. However, you can move it around however you like. All right. So fixed font is just that. It's a fixed size, fixed as far as uppercase or mixed upper lowercase. You can, of course, change the color. You don't have to be stuck with the default color. Of course, when you get to your machine, you can put whatever thread color you want on. All right. Now, true type font. This is going to give you a little bit more options for additional fonts, and it will look for fonts that are installed on your computer. Looks for true type and open type fonts that are installed, and click on the drop down by the font and you can see all the fonts that are on my computer. And so I can pick any one of these fonts. Let's see, I don't really have a particular favorite font, so I'll try this ultra bold font. The style can be regular, bold, italic, or bold italic. And then I do have choices in sizes here. So perhaps I want a font that's a little bit smaller, and I still want to keep this center justified. And now this one, I may want to change and capitalize the word mom. So we'll go ahead and do that. And here you have your mom is best. Now, if we did not want a filled letter here, we do have some choices. I'm going to move this back over into the corner. There we go. And click away from it. Over here in my fill area, my cross fill was selected for this font. I can also do a no fill or a pattern fill. So this time I'm going to choose fill, no fill rather, in that fill choice. And then I have my choice of a backstitch outline or no outline. So I do want a little bit of an outline. So let me show you what this one looks like. And it lands right on top of my other one. I'm moving it over for you. So if you want a simple backstitched alphabet font, great way to go. Plus you have control over your sizing. So this really, really opens up so many more options for you within cross stitch. If you want to keep that feel of cross stitch without going to, say, a satin stitch lettering in your regular embroidery program, you have many choices in the True Type font option. Okay, so something new for you to explore if you haven't already explored that on your own. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and let me select this one. I'm just going to keep using the same screen over and over. Let me see what else I have open for you. Okay, we'll keep on this one. Let's do a, let me check our questions. I want to come back to that fill question next. So let's just do a new window. And again, a little patience while we wait for the system to load this module. And I want to load a picture this time and choose load picture. Now, we did cover all of this in the last lesson. Just a quick reminder that we do keep all of our prior lessons. Our Facebook, YouTube lives are all on screen. I'm sorry, they are all archived, shall I say, on those respective channels, and you can come back in and watch them. So I'm going to answer two questions at once. Where did I get those small animals? And then how to do that fill. So I went to mySewnet samples, which you may have to download. If you don't find them in your mySewnet folder, you can retrieve them from the mySewnet website. They are part of the downloads, optional downloads to bring in. And I believe that I used some pictures out of the embroidery section, if I am not mistaken. Yes. So in the mySewnet samples, you have different categories: cross-stitch, digitizing, embroidery, and then I have the plugin downloaded as well, plus the sketch and the stitch editor. But in embroidery, pics. That folder that has the cute little animals. Okay, so here they are. Oh, there's some nice sports things. You know, Father's Day will be coming up, and perhaps you have a golfer in your family, and you might want to cross stitch those. Although that's a hockey puck, that's not a golf club. What am I thinking, Kathy? Sorry, wrong sport here. All right, let's just do this nice weather one, and I'll click on that and say okay. And I chose this because it's got several nice blocks of color, and I can choose next. This is where I can crop and zoom my picture. I'm going to leave all those alone for time's sake here. I will keep, just for visual, this is going to be a rather large cross stitch, but you'll be able to see it better on screen, I believe. So there's my picture, okay? And from here, I would want to go to create, and I do want to establish a little bit of a boundary. So I'm going to just zoom up. I didn't really want to drop a cross stitch there, but we're going to zoom up higher. Here we go. I think you'll be able to see this. I'm going to first establish a boundary, and I do not want blue on blue. So again, you know, color choice, I'm choosing colors that you are more likely to see on screen. So I'm going to choose something bright, and then I'm going to start putting crosses in, and I'm just doing a quick like drag method of left clicking and dragging over my artwork. So it doesn't have to be exact, but I am creating a boundary. Now, could I create this boundary with backstitching? Absolutely, I can. And it's just really up to you what you want to do. It's very easy to clean this up if you, while you're dragging your mouse around, once in a while something kind of escapes, and you might want to remove something like this X here and this X here. I just want to have a boundary. So whether your area is outlined in a backstitch or a cross stitch or any other method of cross stitch of stitches, as long as you have a solid boundary, no leaks going out of it, you can use the cross fill. All right. So cross fill button, just right here, fill bucket, your mouse. I'm going to hover this over the orange so you can see it. You can't, it disappears over my blue. Sorry about that. And then it fills that whole area. Okay. With that cross, that particular color of cross stitch. Okay. So it has your boundary picked there. Okay. So that's how you do that. And I see, is it possible to fill with mini crosses? You know, that is a question that I'm going to have to get back to you on, because to my knowledge, it's only the full. I'm going to show you how to make your own pattern fill though, and that might be an area where you could create your own fill. So mini cross, let me just take a second to jot this down. Can it be a fill? All right. There is no option within the cross fill tool to choose what the stitch is. I don't believe. Let's just try this and see. No, it stays with the regular crosses. Okay. All right. Answered my own question there. All righty. Let me zoom back out. There we go. And let's just do a new, and we're not going to save those changes to that one. Okay. Did we have any questions on the fonts? Let me come over here and see. I don't see anything about the fonts. However, I do see that we are not seeing those sample files. Okay, so I believe, let me look here on my Windows. Yes. All right, so I'm just taking you here to the mySewnet website, and I went to my dashboard. I had stationed here already. I did want to remind you that inside the dashboard is where you download your files, but also where you download the manuals. Our quick start guides and our helps are here on this page as well. But to answer the question about the sample files, I'm in the Windows tab right here. I pointed with my finger. That didn't really work too well for you guys. Sorry about that. Or if you are on a Mac, you would click on the Mac here. Okay. And right below the minimum requirements here are the optional downloads. So here we can click on this to download the sample files for exercises. And then it would just do a download. You have to open them up. They'll come in zipped for you. And then you'll unzip them and be able to use them. Okay. And the quick start guide and the helping guides, again, just a reminder, I showed you last month. This is where all of your stitch guides for all parts of the software, again, be on the Windows tab if you're Windows, be on the Mac tab if you're Mac. We have the guides available in both formats for you. And here would be your cross stitcher. You can view it online, or you can download it as a PDF so that you can just look at it on your computer. If you want to do a particular page. So for instance, right here, I have the whole document opened already for you. I can just view it at will on my computer. You can also look at them on a phone or a tablet as well. Okay. All righty. So I believe, Amy, that takes care of those questions. And now I want to get to our fill patterns, creating our own fill patterns. So I want to switch my screen, I'm sorry, my workspace a little bit. So I am going to do a new and not save those changes. And I do want to create my own. So I'm going to start with no picture. But I wanted to come back here so I can choose a smaller hoop to work with. I want to choose, let's choose the, how How about a 150 size hoop? That's going to be a little more reasonable for me. Again, choose the cross stitch size of cross you like. I'm going to stick with my 3mm one, click finish, and that fixes my workspace into that size. Now for this step, I don't have to have my final workspace size because what I'm doing is actually creating something on my own. So I'm not following a chart or a graph. I am literally creating this up as we go. And I can choose whatever type of stitches I want in whatever colors I want. So the first, whoops, I didn't want to do a pick. The first thing I want to do is I want to add a couple colors to my palette to work with. So I'm going to pick this bright floral pink, and I don't have to do anything with it. I can keep adding colors like this until I have the colors I want. I'll pick a green, and you can see over on the right hand side in the design panel, maybe do a purple. I just like to have options, I'm one of those people that has, hundreds of colors of threads, and I just want it all. Now I want something brighter. No, I think I'll go back here. All right, so now I have a palette. Oh, I wanted a yellow too. So pick a quick color yellow. That one will be fine. So now I have my palette to choose from, and whatever color I want to do, I will select first. So let's work with pink. And I know that pink is selected because it becomes the color in the left-hand side of my screen up here next to my eraser. I'm going to do a full cross, and I'm going to zoom up some more for you. And I'm simply going to create my own design. So I'm going to do a group of 9 squares. I don't really care at this point whether I'm within those grid markers or not. I'm just free forming this. Now I want to switch over to my blue, my turquoisey color, and I'm going to do like a little radiant going out. Let's go out 3 stitches in each direction. And remember, in case you get an extra one in here, like I just did, you could use the eraser, or the shortcut is the right click. So I can right click over that cross as long as I still have cross selected, and it will take care of fixing that. Whoops, I just did it again. All right, I only wanted 4. And now let's do a yellow. And I'm going to put in some little rows of yellow here and give us a little pattern. Okay, so it's simplistic, guys, but it's just for practice. And I always recommend you practice on just something simple first. I could chart something, from a chart, a flower, an object. It could be a sailboat. It could be, a football. It could be whatever you want to create that you want to build into your pattern. Okay, now before I go any further, I do like to save what I'm working on just in case I end up liking it. So I am going to take the moment to save this, and we're just going to save this in my file for Facebook. I'm calling it pattern May, just to delineate it from any of my other patterns I have. So I have this saved in case I should lose it or something. Now we're going to zoom back out so you can see I just have this one repeat. A pattern fill is, and there are many, many built-in pattern fills. Pattern fills are more interesting than just filling an area with plain ordinary cross stitches. Okay, so you don't have to be locked into the pattern fills that are with the software, although there are many to choose from, many different styles, but you're not locked into them. So going over now to the pattern tab at the top, and again, if you're on a Mac, your commands are going to be over more on the right hand side in your software, but they essentially are the same. Okay. So in pattern category, we can see that Black Work Basic was the default setting. I'm going to choose all and then click on this drop down. If my mouse will behave, there we go. And now you can get a better idea of just how many different fill patterns there are. You're looking for something to make like a background. To me, this looks like a lattice fence or a lattice trellis. Or here we have some different weave type of looking backgrounds. Here's a floral. To me, that's floral. It says it's a Black Work Basic. Down in our cross basic, I hope there's some oohs and ahs going on. If you didn't know this existed in the software, it's here. We have some basic cross patterns. So if you need a checkerboard, of course, you're never, ever locked into the colors that are in the fill. You can change up your colors. Then we have fancies with some different geometric type of things. This one looks a little like a Bargello quilt. It's called Wave. We have some flowers here. This is a strawberry. We even have fill patterns are nothing but French knots. So, cross stitch can be a nice background to put additional embroideries on top of. And so a cross stitch would give you a nice background texture. It would make a plain Jane fabric look really cool. I created a category of my own called Kathy's Patterns, and I'm going to show you my project that I used that particular pattern for in a bit. Then we have some mixed type of patterns as well. So these are all the built-ins minus my personal pattern. Okay. All right. Now I want to say create new pattern, but it's grayed out. I'm like, okay, what's going on here? Well, I already created the stitches here on screen, but I don't have them selected, so it doesn't know what I want to choose. So I'm going to go home and choose box select, and I want to show you some options with this. I'm going to take a minute to zoom again for you. All right, we're going to do a box select. If I box select immediately and only capturing my cross stitches that are stitches, I have no additional space on the outside here, I'll get one type of look. All right, so I've only selected the actual cross stitches. I could have also used the tool select all visible. That would have worked as well. Again, thankfully, we have multiple ways to do things in our software, and that gives us a lot of creativity and flexibility with how we're creative. So I have my design I created, and I'm just going to click on Create New Pattern, and here I get this nice pop-up. I'm going to see if this box lets me. No, it's not going to let me make it any bigger. Sorry about that. On the left is the basic pattern, the one I just created, and it's a 9x9 crosses. That's how many crosses are in that. It is a square, and here's what that would look like as a repeated pattern. All right, I can choose where to save this at, and I'm going to save it into Kathy's Patterns. I can create a new category. I can name my pattern. So I'm going to call this May. Let me call it capital May for the month of May, May 1. I can also change gaps. So vertical and horizontal gaps. That will change spacing. I want you to see it how it is, however, as is. So I'm going to click on OK. And let me zoom back out. And now with this selected, I can come back home. Oops, I can come back to create, and I can choose a pattern fill. And I'm going to come over to my fill type, because remember the default is just the plain cross fill. If I want pattern fill, I come over here and click on it. Now there's a little bit of gibberish going on here, which is where I overlaid. I forgot to delete my pattern I made for you, so please just ignore that. But you can see how cool that is to create your own pattern fill. And it's really quite easy. You can see I didn't have to be an artist to put some crosses in an X and a vertical and horizontal axis just to make something up. So it actually is quite easy to do. All right, now what I want to show you is, let's go back home and let's create a new window. And let's check this out, because I want to see if we can answer. Let's see, how's my time? My time is okay. I want to see if we can answer the mini cross pattern fill question. So I want to, again, I'm just going to zoom here. I go to create and choose my mini crosses. And I'm going to pick a color. I need at least 2 colors. One color is too boring for me. So let's do a green and say okay. And let's add a yellow. And you need a couple colors, guys. Okay, so I'll start with green. And let's put some mini crosses in. All right, so those are minis. So let's see if I do this. I'm thinking on my feet here, guys, so forgive me if I'm not creating what you want me to create, but I'm just trying to see if we can create something cool. Okay, so I've got 1, 2, 3. It looks like I have 4 there. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1. Oh, I'm not going to be symmetrical. Well, I guess that's okay. You know, not everything in life is symmetrical, right? Well, let's be funky then. Let's do it opposite sides. Amy's probably laughing at me. Oh, 1 more. Okay, so there's my little, looks like a little tilted something or another. Let's go ahead and go home and choose select all visible, which that put a line around all of my stitches. And then go to pattern fill, create new pattern. And there is my pattern, how it repeated. It's kind of cool. I got to take a moment to save it. So just let me have a minute. I'll say mini May twirl, because to me it looks like it twirls. And say okay. All right. So yes, you could create your own fill pattern. And if you wanted a solid cross fill, you would just create some mini crosses, select it, and it could be a really quick fill pattern that you could create in minis. So yes, Amy, we've got the answer to that question. We don't have to research it further. Now, I'm going to delete this one off screen, and then I have, I want to go back to create. I have a blank screen, and I'm going to pick that pattern fill and fill this screen with my pattern fill. Cool. I created something new. And you can see that they don't connect because that is just part of how I designed it. The best thing is about this, you're designing on screen. It took me just a few minutes to do this. If I'm not happy with it, I can go in and provided I saved that cross-stitch KRZ file, I can open it back up and I can edit it, or I could recreate it very, very quickly. Question is, can all of this be done in 6D? You know, Amy, I do not know off the top of my head, so we're going to need to look this up, how far back the ability to create your own fill exists. Now, we've had pattern fills, you know, for a long, long time. I know back many generations. I don't know if the creating your own fill was something in 6D. So we will research that one for you, okay? I have to look up on an old spreadsheet about that. Now, I wanted to show you something. Or let me give you a couple ideas first. So Amy, if you could switch off of my software screen, I appreciate it. Thanks. So what would you do with a pattern fill? Well, if you're creating maybe background texture for something, that's one thing you might want to do. I like to think about how could I use just a bit of embroidery, whether it's an embroidery design or cross stitch in another project. So let's say you're making, we'll use the example of a child's dress, and summer's coming. So maybe this dress has like a yoke on it, or you're making a blouse for yourself and it has a yoke and then like across the back of the shoulders, but you want it to be special. Well, why not embroider a section of fabric in cross stitch and then cut out your pattern piece for that, and then you have your own special fabric, and whatever fabric you embroidered the cross stitches on, the rest of the garment could be made of that fabric or coordinating fabric. In home deck, I can certainly see you using it in home deck projects. Let's say that you make one of those pretty fabric baskets and the cuffs turn down on them. Well, you could embroider a strip of cross stitch to go around the cuff of the basket. You can use a pretty print for the body of the basket. You could use, you could do it in college colors or high school colors. That would be a nice gift, nice organizer to put your stuff in. You could use it on a pillow. You could use it as a border, create your own pattern fill and use it as a border along a curtain. Okay. A table runner. There's so many different ways that you can use a pattern fill. You just got to get your creative juices flowing. So something that I did, because I'm like, how can I do this? What can I do? Is I created, some of you who have been around a long time, you might recognize our Be My Bunny. There we go. Trying to get him in camera. There we go. I'll lean back a little bit more for you. This is our Be My Bunny embroidery in the hoop design set that we've had around for a long time. I mean, this does go back many years. It is up on our website on mySewnet in our library. At the moment, the files are individual. So you would download the ears and the front and back of the head and the body and the arms and the feet. Download those files. So they are in the hoop embroidery files. But instead of making my bunny out of fake fur, I wanted to make my bunny out of cross-stitch fabric. And at first I thought, well, I'll just plop some crosses, here and there on the different body parts. And then I'm like, wait, how about pattern fill? So what I did is I used I'm trying to get you a better view. It looks like muslin on screen. It's a little bit more of a open weave. It's called Osnaburg. It is sold like with muslin and all those utilities fabrics in your local fabric or quilt shop. And it's a nice just base fabric. And then I used a little scrap I had of some suede for his feet and for his nose and his little hand there. Okay. And I created a fill that I then filled a hoop that would stitch the arms and the ears and the face. So I created, I lost count of how many hoopings. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think I had 7 hoopings. Now the legs and arms are stitched in the hoop. So I stitched a plain section, like it didn't have any bunny parts on it. It just had the looking to see if I have a file open. I should have. Yes, I do have one open. Amy, if you'd switch back to computer for me. Thank you. So here is the size file I created to stitch the arms. So I brought in the file for the arms first from the library. So I would know what size, like how much fabric I needed. And then I just picked a hoop that was close to it in size and made my fill pattern to fit that hoop. And I did the same thing for all the other body parts. I'm looking to see if I have any other ones open. I think this one, this is the leg. So you can see here, this is the leg. We get a side view here of his leg. But in order to do this is sewn in the hoop, I need two of these. I need one that's just the plain crosses, and I need one with the outline of the body part on it. So I would stitch the plain one first and take it out of my hoop. And then I would stitch the second one with the outline. And then I laid two things right sides together and stitched the last two colors. So if I scroll down here, 4 and 5 are the outlines for, and if I ungroup this, there we go, we can see that better. Here on the left-hand side, you can see there's a stitching line, which is meant to be a trim line. If you're making this per the directions online, it's made of fur, so they have you trim it in the hoop. I didn't bother with the trimming. I just did it in the hoop and took it out and then cut around. That outside line is actually your cut line for your body parts. So the ears, the arms, the feet all work that way. There's a separate file for the feet pads because that's sewn in. So there is a separate file because the feet are 3D for you on that. So that is what I chose to be creative with this month with the cross stitch pattern fill. So I'll bet that some of you can come up with something else just as fun. You'll have to sit right back there, Mr. Bunny, that you can do with pattern fill. So I would love for you to post a picture of something you've done with pattern fill, whether you were brave enough to make your own pattern fill or you used one of the built-in pattern fills. That would be fantastic. Okay, I'm going to check for questions real quick. Okay, question on charts. Yes, we're going to do that. And yes, excellent question. This is a lot of stitching in this wasted space here. And you can go in and use the stitch editor to remove all this excess so you're not wasting all that thread. But I kind of wanted some extra pieces for my stash that, maybe I can use these little scraps in some fun project later on. So I didn't edit it, but I absolutely did think about editing it. I was kind of selfish and I wanted my scraps for something fun later on. So look forward to maybe a creation next time with scraps from projects this year. Okay. And you could do that on all of your pieces, just, around your boundary, cut all those out in Stitch Editor. Okay. All right. And then the question on the cross stitch. Okay. So let me bring you back. Okay. We're back on the computer screen. Good. This is a cross stitch chart that I did import into the software, but I want to show you how you do it. Okay, so we have this one, but let me go to an empty page here and oh, come on, mouse. Thank you. New window. And this time my chart is actually a picture. Okay, so I need to choose the load new picture option. And then I'm going to load a picture. Now, the chart has to be a picture file. So if you have a chart that is not a picture file, but say it is a PDF file, you have to convert that to a picture, which is what I did with this object here. This is some roses that I got that were a free download. You can go to so many different sites and partake of their free downloads for charts. Just follow their copyright rules as far as, whether you can use them to make things to sell or for your own personal use. Okay, so this particular one came from one of the thread companies that does hand embroidery. So here's my picture. I'm going to click on next. And this is the critical part. This is the secret. It's all about the prep work you do here. Okay. I'm sure you've heard of that phrase in other terms. In cooking, it's all about the prep work, and everything else will come out well if you do really good prep. So, what I am doing is I am zooming up, way, way up, because I want you to have a clear view to see this. The blue square in the corner is attached to little dashed lines. That's the boundary of my picture. I'm going to drag that corner in so that my dashed lines are right inside. Now, this chart, I did find it a little more challenging to use because it had a heavy blue line on the outside. When I adjusted, I didn't realize that at first. And so my chart didn't come out as well as I'd like the first time. So if you have a heavy outline, take that little dash line. I'm going to move that up a little bit in between so you can see it. Just to the inside of the drawn line. All right. And it takes a steady hand on your mouse, so just be patient with yourself. I'm going to go to all four corners and bring that line in. Remember, if you do a corner rather than a side, you are adjusting a horizontal and a vertical line at the same time, which is okay. And I just really like to go back in and double check myself. And I'm going to tweak this just a hair, not that big of a hair. Make sure let me come here to the middle, see if I can, no, escape. All right, what did I do to my line? Oh my goodness. All right, let's do a back and a forward. Oh, I was hoping that would, I really screwed up my box big time for you guys. Sorry about that. I need to make this, I must have let go of my mouse at the wrong spot. So give me one. All right, I'm going to zoom back out so I can get a lot closer, a lot quicker. And then we'll fine tune for you. I know we're getting close to our time. So if you can just hang with me for a moment, we'll get this so you can see how it works. All right, let's see if I can do that. Okay. So like I said, it's all in the prep. It's making sure that you have your picture represents just the graph, just the chart that you want. Okay, this one is a little high. Okay, we're going to call that good for now. Then I'm going to click on next. And again, same thing, all of our wizards, size of cross, how many you want. If you know the size of the chart, you can choose to put in how many crosses that you have. And I think I wrote down how many this one had. This one is 70 in height. And you know you're good if when you put in one number, but not both, and you leave it proportional, and you get the other number in the width. So this cross stitch chart was 70 by 90, 70 in height, 90 in width. And when I typed in 70, I got 90. So I did a decent job of getting my picture cropped. Then I just click finish. And there's my chart ready to roll. Now I'm ready to import my crosses, do whatever I want to do with putting in my colors. And I don't want blue. Yeah, I know blue's a wonderful color. I love blue. I wear blue a lot, but I want to show just a real quick, I think pink will show up. So in a colored cross stitch chart, often there'll be shading. So like there's this like lighter red with a white X on it. Then we have a pink with a little lesser than sign. And we have this one. So you can pick different colors to put in on your crosses. And you can see that my crosses are just lining up ever so perfectly with the cross that's below. So it's all worth the extra time that I spent to get my chart up and running at the right spot. And what I'm doing here real quickly is showing you, I know this isn't a terribly big area, but I could then use my cross fill and fill the rest of that bucket, that area with the cross stitch fill. Okay, so we could continue on with working with that chart and creating our stitches. If you find that you want a little bit different background, go to the view and you can go to a 2D view or you can go to a block view. It's really personal preference as to what you want to work in, what kind of visual that you want to work in. Okay. All right. Now I will open this other window I had for you. Here we go, real quick, before I sign off, and show you that this particular cross stitch chart is actually in that sample folder of your cross stitch samples in the picture folder. So you can practice just lining up a chart without, going searching for a chart. There's one in your sample software for you to use. So you don't have to go anywhere. You can just do that and practice on this one. It's pretty simple. It's got some back stitches and some regular cross stitches. I don't really see too much in the way of the specialty like half stitches and all that, but of course you can embellish it if you would like to do that as well. So you've got one you could practice with, and then feel free to grab a cross stitch chart you might have in your stash or something from online. Okay. All right, Amy, if you'll switch cameras back again, Bunny and I will say, we'll give you the news for our next Facebook Lives. Let's see what we have. We have coming up on June the 12th. The next mySewnet Live is with Janie Lance. She's one of our freelance educators. I love Janie. She's a wealth of knowledge. And she is going to be doing how to create cutwork designs using your software. Now, we've done some different, in some of our different channels, how to stitch cutwork designs, but we haven't done how to create your own cutwork designs. So tune in to learn on how to create your own cutwork designs with Janie Lance on June the 12th. And that's going to be at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific time on Wednesday, June 12th. I'll say goodbye for now. And if you have any questions, please drop them in the chat. We'll check back with you and